Hey, Neil around yet here, and today I'm going to tell you about a sort of foolproof tip, I believe, that can allow you to make really great villain campaigns for D&D. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to use a concept in programming where you break things down. You break things down into components, you break those components into components, and eventually you get something you can work with. So first thing you're going to do is you have maybe a villain in mind, but just having a villain isn't enough, so you want them to want something. What are they doing? And all the great villains are doing something. They're trying to achieve some goal. So Sauron wanted to conquer Middle Earth. Emperor Palpatine wanted to build the Death Star and also conquer the galaxy. But everyone is going to be achieving some goal, and they will attempt to do that in different ways. Sauron was trying to get back the One Ring as like a sub goal, and this is the next part. So you have your main goal. I had a villain named Arandis, who was in a custom universe I made, and his goal was to resurrect the demon race who he worshipped. So one of the things he was doing was trying to weaken his enemies. In pursuit of that, he was trying to locate where a special stone that had sealed away the demons was located, and he was also I forget what his third objective was. But either way, he was doing all these things to try and achieve his goal, which included, and each of these objectives essentially broke down into like 5 missions, 5 little quests in each quest line. And essentially Arandis, was working all the angles. I think this is a great exercise because you get to work all the angles. You get to say, well, how would my villain actually achieve what he wants? And if you don't know that, then make something up. It's easy, really. Magic obviously is sort of mysterious, so you can use some of the built-in tools in Dungeons & Dragons to help you. One way you could do this is by, say, okay, what schools of magic do they specialize in? And, and another big thing I like to use is divination magic, because it basically is like, well, how would you ever know that you need to find the stone that sealed away the demons? Well, you divined it. And through this process, you can really find where the holes in your plot are and try and fill them in. The first campaign I ever ran had about 27 adventures in it. 27 little session adventures that like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 would be run per session. And it was a great success, and you can kind of do this for each arc, each villain in your campaign. But Arandis, he was trying to find all this out, weaken his enemies, strengthen his allies, find the tools he needed to perform a ritual. And one other thing I would say is that you want your villain to actually kind of succeed. Mostly because I kind of see this in a way of, okay, so which is more dramatic, which is more interesting for the campaign? You beat him and then he doesn't summon the demons? Like, okay. But if he does summon the demons, you got a really great new conflict. Stories are conflicts, and you want to extend out the conflict as much as you can. The heroes are going to win in the end, but it should be tight. You want them to struggle and have to actually work to achieve their goals. Similar to how the villain is doing all these, forming an organization and has minions to perform their goal. You want your heroes to sort of mirror them in a way, in that they have to work hard and fight. for their goals. And this leads to, each of these sub objectives is going to be worked towards in different ways, which are your quests. And in each of your sessions, you're going to be doing one or two of these. Another thing I would encourage is planning very explicitly. Say, this is X is happening in Y place. There's going to be Z monsters there, and A objective is needed to defeat them. And this is what helps keep your D&D game really fun and fresh, and is going to keep your players engaged because they have, all these things to do. They feel like the villain is affecting the world, and by stopping him, they also affect the world. This is, has worked for me over and over again. My group has always really loved this sort of system, and I really think it, you might consider it. I'm going to show you later on in the video some of my actual planning documents. I usually use Google OneNote. I think it's called OneNote. It's like a note-taking app, but now I actually use Obsidian MD because that is just a phenomenal app. But essentially what you can do is combine these concepts, and you literally make a chart where there are, at the top, before you make your chart, you write villain name, villain objective, and you break it down into a 3-column, 7-row chart, and each column, going up and down, is one of your villain's sub-objectives. One of the things he needs to do to achieve his main objective, and each of the rows, going left to right, is one of the ways he's working towards that goal, or she, or it. It's a wide universe, and your villain can be anything. And I think this really works as a method for anyone, any person enemy. It could be a person or a group of people. So if you want to write an epic story, you do this exercise, and once you run out of missions, do it again. Maybe for a new villain, maybe for the same villain, but now they are trying to pick up their losses, because you can combine all these parts together to form a story. And even though these might be more isolated quests, they really are great and engaging and fun for the players, and they're fun to run. So let me show you some things, some of my actual planning charts, and then we'll meet back here. Alright, here we are on my computer, and we have this document on Obsidian MD called Adventures 2. Basically, Adventures 2, we can see I have the top heading here, Villain Alchemist Marks, who is a character in one of my current campaigns. And so we have here, he's essentially in a city. I kind of ripped off the plot of Lies of P, where there is a sort of crystal plague and robots going around, going crazy. So he wants to suppress the news of the plague, keep the android riots secret, research the church, the local church organization. He wants to retain immortality for himself, and he wants to conquer the country he's in, called Yokohama. And so we have here, I made 6 adventures that'll fit into each of these categories. So, he's creating wellness propaganda in a factory. So, I kind of left it sort of general here, but you could see, I said where he's doing this. He's building and selling a device called an aerator, which the players don't know yet, but is, snake oil. Selling Tip-Top Tonic, capturing people who are sick and lobotomizing them, and he just wants to win as much power as he can, and he's using these different methods and different adventures. He wants to build nationalist zeal. He wants to perform holy summoning rituals to try and summon holy entities into his command, build androids, Vivisect, which is the living version of Dissect, the androids who have awakened, who have gained their self-awareness. And you can see here that these are different ways that he's working towards, kind of conquering the country. Really, this is his ultimate goal, to conquer the country and maybe the world after. But you can see how you can sort of start breaking down the villain's main goal into things he needs to do to achieve that, and then you create adventures for each of these. So I'll meet you back at my chair. See you there. But yeah, that's really how simple it is. With these tips, you can really make little adventures and uh, itemize your D&D experience, your D&D planning, because you're planning this string of small adventures that lead up to one big whole. And I think this is the key to epic storytelling. Is like, yeah, okay, I used to describe myself as a big picture writer. I'm like, oh, I know what this universe's like width is. I know how large the galaxy is, how large the fantasy world is, what are the biggest nations in the world, but you need, it's really the small details that make it feel alive. You take these small, tiny things, and it's like, oh, like maybe this is a universe where people have a magic item that gives them unlimited water, and that helps flesh out everything. You don't want bones, you want flesh. You that's I just heard that out loud, and that sounds crazy, but the whole point is that people live lives with small details. So you want to include as many small details as you can in your D&D game, because that makes it feel like a world that exists outside of everyone's heads. Thank you for watching, and if you really like this, I have more coming, so stay tuned. Thank you.